Welcome to Dealer Talk with Jen Suzuki, where inspiration meets action. This is your spot to grow, level up, and lead with fresh ideas. From sales to service, from frontline teams to executives, we're dropping weekly knowledge and insight to keep your store sharp, relevant, and profitable. Let's get into it. Welcome back, everybody. So this is exciting for me. I've been waiting for this day because I have a longtime friend and colleague who's coming on here today. And the thing that I admire the most about Mitch Kudler is his journey. This guy went from technician to advisor. I watched him be in sales, general manager, and now he is chief operating officer for one of the largest groups out there, Sims Automotive Group. Mostly, I have to say, him and I just gel about business and values and fundamentals. And we just always have such a great conversation. So we have nothing planned here today. I just want to kick it with Mitch, and I really just want to learn from him because he just is so well-rounded. Well, welcome to the show, Mitch.
Thank you, Jennifer. It's great to be here. I'm glad that you asked me to come on board.
Yeah, well, listen, I just feel like, I run into so many people every single week. I meet so many people in the business, but frankly, there's only one other guy that I've met with your history, and he's a dealer actually out in California. And it's so fun to see somebody that literally has been able to work nearly every single role in the dealership. So what I like about this is that you can speak to anything and also respect the other department's perspective when making big decisions. Something we struggle with a lot, and this is just what I see, is that we have a lot of dealerships. They'll do things like, for example, like they'll give away complimentary maintenance, and this with every vehicle purchase. And things like this is helpful because it helps drive them into our service department. But a big percentage of these customers never come back to the dealership for service. They hit up Jiffy and Valve and Firestone and independent shops. And when this happens, we don't just lose an oil change. We lose a relationship. We lose the repair work. We eventually lose the next vehicle sale. And I really wanted to bring you on to talk maybe some of these big pictures here. Tell me, you've seen everything from technician, service director, GM, now COO. But when you look across dealerships today, what do you think that most general managers misunderstand about fix ops?
So it's always been a situation where most people that sit in the GM slot have never worked in the back end. And they come up from the front end, even like you did, right?
Mm-hmm.
And They look at it as a system transaction that happens daily. Fixed operations is all about retention and recovery. So you always want to look at what can I do to maintain that customer? Because the truth of the matter is, the backbone of dealerships, and I've argued this with GMs and owners over my career, where they look at service as a necessary evil, where the service manager is the easiest one to exchange, but that's where you need the most consistency in the store. And people don't always look at it from that perspective because they're going, well, I can't adjust that. But like you and I were talking about, I can make measurable increases in service quicker than I can in sales.
Yes.
And when you're saying oil changes, that's an important part. But the truth of the matter is, where a lot of people fail, and service managers fail at this, and sort of parts managers, is tires.
Yes, everyone says this.
People will go away for an oil change. They go to Jiffy Lube. Understandable. You lose more when a tire goes away. Everybody tries to make money in tires. We can't compete in our market with the tire manufacturers. We can't compete with Les Schwab, America's Tire, all of those things, because they buy direct. We have to play the game where we have a manufacturer that's making money and the wholesaler that's making money, and we're at the end of it. And we're trying to make money, but we can't. So the goal is, starting out, you just have a minimal expense over it, and you want to bring those people back in, because every time you lose a tire, you lose the service, you lose the brakes, you lose the alignment. And once you lose a customer for a big job, you lose them forever. And that's usually about the time their warranty is starting to run out. So you have that double fold going. So you lose, not only do you lose warranty, you lose customer pay.
Right. And so a lot of times you'll see big dealerships have big promos, big signs, tires. As soon as you roll into the drive, it's front and center. However, a lot of stores I roll into, there's nothing about tires. What can be done?
It's a verbiage, right? It's a pitch. And I've been in the German world a lot. You met me when I was with Audi and Volkswagen, and then I've been with Ford, now I'm back with Ford again. It's the relationship the advisor has. It's explaining to the customer. It's educational. It's conversational when they're going, hey, if you need a tire, let me do the work for you. Let me compare you to America's Tire or Costco and show you where the benefit is with us. Most service drives don't do that. And you have to communicate, hey, we have tires. Not everybody thinks about a tire when they go to a dealership, and then they think they're going to get overcharged because,
Right.
and
There's no profit here.
Well, the truth is Costco has the same tires we do, but there's different levels of manufacturing in tires. So you've got to explain that. A lot of it's the concierge part of the sale where you're going, hey, let me explain what I can do. Let me show you what I can do. And then let me do the work for you. It goes back to, you and I laugh when we talk. Sales and service are identical. Everybody thinks it's different, right? The only difference between a service advisor and new car sales is in new car sales, people come in happy. In service, they come in unhappy. So you got to turn that around, right? But it's the same attribute. Doing the investigation, doing it for the customer, finding out what their needs and benefits are, and here you go, and lay it out for them in a sales role. And that's really the difference.
So, is this a service process problem or is this a leadership problem?
Both. It's both because in a GM role that you tell the service rep, I want to sell tires. You don't know why. You went to a 20 group or you went to a group meeting and they told you need to do it, but you don't know why, right? And it's always the question I ask all my leaders every time is, why are we doing it? Why do you want to do it? Explain to me. If you don't know, rip it apart and figure out why. The service managers, some of them in the world got to their roles and they're not very educated into why they want to do it and what is the effect. I mean, I've sat down with people where say, oh, you got to sell more hours. Well, that's great. But if you don't have a dollar tied to it, you'll lose money. And the same thing with tires, like we do, I charge $10 a tire, period. That's what I charge over. And Mountain Balance, I cover my tech's cost. My goal is to get everything else that goes with it. And I tell them that. And that's where the leadership doesn't understand why they're doing it. They just understand that it's just a done deal. It's like, no, make customers educate them.
Well, there is nothing more important. I think is by chance your computer audio. Can you bring it down a little bit?
Yeah, I can.
Just a little.
There you go. How's that?
Okay. We'll give it a try. Yeah,
Better?
we'll give it. Yeah. So a lot of times when I think about these service, I think about a customer's first visit, I preach all the time, benefits. Everybody needs to know why, what's in it for them. We can't just say, oh, you need brakes. You know what I mean? $4.99. There has to be a benefit. And it's the same thing, when it comes to tires, a lot of times it's about just investing in time, explaining, investing in spending time with his customer so that they see that there's an actual problem. It's not just you need tires, but hey, get down on a knee. I always say this at check-in. Why aren't we getting down on a knee? Why aren't we using the gauge? Why aren't we engaging with them, getting them involved, having them run their hand across the problem areas, explaining to them, this is an education. This is an education. And when it comes to that first service visit, in your experience, how critical would you say that it is that a first service appointment, after the vehicle purchase is something that is even nurtured? Because I say this all the time to the guys. I'm like, is this a new customer? Is this an existing customer? It matters at check-in. Is this a new customer? Is this an existing customer? Because if a customer has never been here before, do we need to do something different that helps this customer feel more welcomed and more valued and more appreciated to be here, that we're giving them a little bit of a law of the land or, a bit of an expectation of what's ahead?
Well, what we do is the first service we give away, new and used. We don't.
Okay.
So we give that as that first courtesy to come on in, meet our team, let us take care of you, and they get to see what we're about and who we are. And a lot of that generates through the quick lane that we have, but we also do through the main drive to make sure. We also give a car wash away for life on our cars, which is a pain, but it has a winning effect on customers because they want it. It's just a return visit because we've created this problem, the manufacturer and the dealer body, where we service cars less than we ever have. And that puts us out there where it gives customers availability to look elsewhere and go elsewhere. And we have to always look at how do we gain it better. There's this old argument that, and it's funny, I'm back with Ford again, and I laugh because they're so stuck in the old ways of doing things that we don't focus on customer pay as much because they get warranty. I'm like, you always have to be focused on customer pay forever. That's a lifelong thing. I've been doing it, Jesus Christ, 30, 40 years now. But I hate to say that, but we don't look at it that way, and we get away from it. And that's the key. And you're right. How do we represent it? The pass off from sales to service and making sure that everybody knows where sales and service work together. In my career, I'm amazed at how many times when I was a service manager, I've taken over new stores and there's no relationship between sales and service. And that's a leader. Because, and you've been to stores where the service manager hates the sales manager or vice versa.
Conflict.
And the GM perpetuates it. And it's like, guys, we're one team, one dealership. We don't have to like each other, but respect each other and work together. And
at the end of the day, it's one customer, multiple touch points that all need to be somewhat consistent.
Well, and 50% of your sales comes out of service. If they've done a great job in there, your sales department should love them.
Yes.
Because that is the key. Because if they don't take care of them, you're not going to get a sales.
A lot of times I wonder why we don't have sales and service having meetings together on a regular. It doesn't need to be every day. It doesn't need to be every week, but once a month, bi-monthly, having the two teams together to talk about, how we can synergize. Because I think a lot of times if you don't work in that department, if you don't shadow that person, you don't understand what they're going through to even be able to respect the role. Salespeople come back to service all the time. Oh, can you get this dent out? I can't sell this car unless you get this, and then you get the scratch out. You got to get right now. And they're already overwhelmed. And it's like, this causes friction. Yep. Why do the salespeople go back there and think that we're going to get it done right this second so they can sell a car?
Well, it's funny when you came to visit me when I was at Royal, we were doing that there. I do it here. I've done it every store. Even when I was a service manager, I got my GM to do it. All leaders once a week need to meet together. Service, parts, sales, even my service managers under my directors and my leaders, sales managers and my GSM, we all meet as a group once a week every Monday. Actually, it's at 1:00 on Mondays. And we go over every department, what's going on. We also force where we stop the tension is anytime a salesperson has a concern with a customer, an opportunity, they go to their manager. That manager has to go to the other department manager. So it creates that teamwork between them. And it makes, because as you well know, the salesman has an issue, they blow it out of proportion and they turn it over to a service advisor. Now the service advisor is going crazy trying to take care of the customer because they know that's a CSI survey in the future.
Correct.
So if you take those two out and go manager to manager, what happens is the tension lowers, the customer gets quicker response, and everybody in the middle sees it. The salesperson sees that they're taken care of. They see the service department cares about them because the service director is taking on, and now the customer gets taken care of no matter what. And that is important in every store. The stores that are dysfunctional that way, and I know you go to a lot of them, and you see them and you go, what is going on? Because you can feel it as soon as you walk through the door.
Definitely.
And
definitely.
When I first became a service manager back in the 90s, I was amazed that was a very common thread. All the GMs did not. I never even seen a GM walk in service. The joke in this store is I'm kind of like, where's Waldo? Everybody's always looking for me because I'm always walking into every department, talking to every manager. I love having cell phones. They go text me, and it's funny. I'll get a text. Where are you? Or hey, let's we all talk about putting a location tracker on me because they always see me walk around the store because that's how you know what's going on, and I have to bring them together. If I don't do it, whether the owner, the GM, or doesn't walk around every day and take in and make them feel in. When you hear something going on, you let the other leader know. So, like I've gone through sales and heard something like this customer needed something done. As I'm walking to service, I'll let my service director know, Eric, I'll say, hey, you may want to go check in with Missy. I just heard this. And then we're ahead of it and we're proactive.
Yeah, these are great communications, and I really love what you're saying, mostly because I see it from another perspective, another angle, because We are battling turnover every day. But when people feel that their leadership is invested in them, remembers them, says hello to them, some owners never even know everybody, and it rubs people, but when you're COO, you're bringing everybody together. You're knowing about every single department and trying to create cohesiveness. You also, when you're making those rounds, get a chance to say hello to everybody and make people feel welcomed and remembered and kick it with people. And this is about relationships, because the stronger, in my opinion, the stronger of internal relationships that we have, the easier it is for us to focus on our relationships with customers. The customers feel when we're cohesive. They can tell when there's conflict, when we're ragging or trying to drag somebody else down because they're in another department. That's not cohesive. That makes customers question, our morals, our fundamentals, our values, and our team synergy.
Well, and it happens so often, and that's the problem. It's as small or as large as this industry is, it's amazing how certain stores are still that way, and you see it. And it does come from the owner. You're right. And walking around, I walk around saying good morning every day. It's routine for me, no matter where I'm at, and I think you're right. That touch point sets everybody a little bit different. And, I had a new regional general manager for Ford come in, and we were meeting, and she was talking to me about different things. And she goes, "What do you do about retention?" I said, "I don't do a lot about retention." She goes, "What do you mean?" I said, "I've taught all my leaders to always be recruiting." They said, "Why do you do that?" I said, "Because people feel that you care about others and you're bringing in other talents to work with them, not to replace them." And everybody looks at it as a little different. And, I think it's important to always be evaluating what you're doing and how you're doing, but bring in everybody to it. I don't mind hiring people's friends and stuff like that, because a lot of times if they're going to put their name behind somebody, it's their reputation. But you have to look at who's recommending that person to see if that person is that level. And we always tell them, hey, if you're bringing somebody in, they got to be you or better.
Yeah, I like that.
Right? And they always go, okay.
Well, that helps you sort of vet people, right? You're like, we got to at least have a benchmark, a standard. Okay, you're actually giving us two good points here. Not only just in making the rounds, calling out things when you hear them, keeping department managers at the forefront of intertwining when one department needs something corrected from another, and even looking to onboard new team members through current team members. Is there something else that you would say is a non-negotiable, a top thing that you've learned in your career? That you think about this every single day, whatever this is, but this is something that GMs that are listening to this episode that did not come from fixed ops necessarily, and they want to become stronger in fixed ops. This is something they got to pay attention to immediately. What is it?
Sit in the service director's seat. Sit back there, hear what's going on, shut your mouth and listen, and just understand what's going on. The big thing that I believe in to my core, and it's funny, my team laughs about it now, is if you come ask me a question, I'll dump it back on you. Hey, what do you want to do here? I don't know. What do you want to do here? Have them do it and have them tell you. And as a GM, if you do that to your service, your parts managers, even your service advisors, and let them explain to you, first of all, you're not going to have the answer. But once you ask them what they want to do, you'll understand a little bit more of where they're coming from, and you'll understand what they need from you. And most of the time, it's just your backing to let them do and make the mistake. If it's not critical, let them make the mistakes. People learn from that. If it's massive, explain to them why it's massive and come up with a new solution. But always tie your management in. Don't overrun your manager to make a decision. You got a technician who comes in your office and is complaining about something that a service manager did, right? Understand what they're saying, ask them why, and ask them what they would have done different. But I would never meet with that technician without the service manager present and see how they both react. Because you'll find out it's a personality click that you're not giving them the entitlement and the leadership. And that's why, like I said, to my core, I will never answer a question. I make them answer the question.
That's an interesting perspective. And I like this because it allows everybody to work together to problem solve. It's not pointing fingers per se, it's getting people to collab on a solution.
And you find out, I'm not the smartest guy in the room all the time, but I am the smartest guy to know who to ask the question to.
Okay, makes sense.
And that's what you want, right? You want people to be, we didn't all get where we are because we did it on our own completely, right?
No way.
And you got to look at around and see how many people have so much knowledge that we don't tap into.
Yeah.
We just don't. We don't ask.
Well, that what comes to mind when you say that is, I'm always listen. The front line has a lot of the answers on how we can do better about customer processes, customer experiences, internally. They see the challenge. Sometimes our pricing is off on something, and it's just not. The market has changed. We're not competitive anymore, but we're getting more declines. And if the advisor's screaming, we just, what we need to adjust something here. We need to try something new here. Nobody says anything. We just keep on, watching the problem grow and grow and grow. That's a small example. But when customers, I'm always plagued with retention, and I'm fighting for loyalty at all times, whether it's sales, it's service. I want to see people feel good about their time at a dealership. But let's face it, service department, nobody wants to be there. No customer really wants to be there. It's time, it's money, it's just I'm stressed. I've got anxiety. What are they going to say to me? How much is it going to cost? And this is how I make my money. I got to get to and from work on this thing. I got to pick up my kids. But anyways, a lot of times people say it's customers stop servicing because of price. And I oftentimes wonder, what do you think is I know it's not price, but tell me, what do you think we failed at somewhere along this journey that we've got to start addressing on a regular and more frequently, and it's something that keeps glaring at us, but we constantly overlook it? What is that?
Transparency. There's always this unheard of what's going on in my car behind the scenes. Everybody's always scared to show a customer. I just found out recently, which blew my mind, was I've been always big into MPIs or VIs, right, on vehicles, and also tech video. And
Me too.
I believed in it. I mean, I was one of the pilot dealers with MPIs back in the 90s, and when we used to have paper. And sharing this with customers of exactly what's going on is a transparency mode. When video came out, it was awesome because now customers get to see what the technician does. Well, you don't want them talking to technicians all the time because you never know what the tech will say. But it is transparency. And I found out recently, being with Ford now, they had never focused on it. I found out 50% of the dealers in my region aren't doing MPIs today. I'm like, I don't even.
Does that not blow your mind?
I was shocked. And they were,
I've seen it too.
I told them we're 85%. And they go, there's no way. I said, I've got reports. Here you go. And they said, I said, I would be 100%. But I said, you got, certain areas, you got certain fleet things and they don't want it done, all that kind of stuff. But that's a great number. And my video is even over that. And not to mention what it's sent, we measure it. And I'm like, why wouldn't you?
I agree.
I mean, what are you hiding from customers? What are you not, like me, my door is always open. My windows, not tinted like some GMs. And I never understand that when you're sitting in an office, why you would do that.
Transparency.
There's an old joke that I had went through an interview for a rep's job many eons ago. And there was part of the test where they have you interview as a rep with an owner. And I walked in, the first thing I did was I looked at their desk and I turned everything over. And they go, what are you doing? I said, there isn't an owner in the world that would let you see everything on their desk. And I said, back in the day, they would hide it because they didn't want you to see the 2 P&Ls they were doing, what was going on at home, how many houses they had. So they hide it. And they looked at me and they said, we never see that. I said, because a rep doesn't typically meet with the owner. And I said, that's lack of transparency. Me, I don't care what's on my desk. Rep, employees, customers, sit down. I mean, as long as it's not customer information, the desk is open. So always be transparent in every place. And I think the fixed ops department gets that whole Wizard of Oz thing. We're behind Oz, right? What's going on? Be transparent. Open it up to them.
We do this in sales, and it's a buzzword in sales too, because people think that there's so much gross profit on the deal when we know outside of COVID, that there's, we've been bottomed out, for ages, and we're back to the same game now in many models, many franchises. In any event, for me, it's transparency. It's also, I take it even further. Your job is to educate. Aren't you the expert? Aren't you the consultant? Aren't you the person that's supposed to be their buddy, their pal? Like, you're the guy. Like, everybody wants a guy in service. We don't, like, we're living in a world of technicians out here. That's what causes some anxiety, is just the fear of the unknown. I don't know what this means. Am I supposed to know what a serpentine belt is? Am I supposed to know when you're supposed to replace it? Am I supposed to, it's like, it's intimidating. It's intimidating. I say this to advisors all the time. You try to read those technician notes and translate them in verbatim in tech talk. That ain't gonna fly. They don't even know what you're saying when you say 30 seconds. Okay. You're gonna talk to people in a way that helps to inform them and educate them. And I feel that that's the next level of transparency too. And sometimes we skip these things in just taking time to slow it down, get to know customers, get to remember things about them, do your pre-write, see why they were coming in, see what's anticipated, check for parts, check for loaners, do your due diligence. Tell people what you did. Hey, and by the way, don't forget, we include the complimentary car wash since you bought your car from us. Remind them of the value. It's just, you can say more, right?
Yeah, people are worried about saying too much and getting caught up in that. And it's, you want to give the customer all the information, and you want to listen to them. And that's, I think, where advisors don't learn enough of listening. Stop, listen to what they're telling you, write down and document what they're saying.
Ask more questions. Dig deeper.
Use it to ask questions and get more information. Be clear.
Make sure that technician gets that information. Yes.
It's amazing when I look at repair orders today, and I'll grab one randomly and I'll look at it and go, how is the technician going to fix this? And they go, what do you mean? And, because being an ex-tech, I look at it and go, well, I can diagnose 50% of the problem if your story's correct before I even touch the car. How you wrote it will direct me in a certain path that'll do it. The problem is the younger technicians today think you plug it in, it tells you everything. And it's still, if you took all the electronics off it, it's still the simple old processes that we always have had, because the car hasn't changed that much. The electric cars have, but they're still the basics. I mean, we have some rules that we live by. For one of the things that gets overlooked in communication is no problem found. And there should never be a no problem found. A customer didn't come to you because there isn't something they're hearing. But you don't just bring in a shop. You've got to stop and listen and say, hey, Mrs. Customer, you have a noise? Let me get my foreman, let me get a technician, let me get a service manager, jump in the car with you and drive with you until we can hear it. If we don't hear it, I believe you, but if we don't hear it today, I can't have anybody fix anything. Well, you guys hear it all the time. No, we don't, because every noise is different. Yeah. It's like going to a dentist. You go to the dentist with a toothache. It's funny, when you get there, it doesn't hurt no more. Same thing with your car. So it's key for us to take that extra step and be transparent and be open and ask the questions and take the extra extent to get in the car with a customer and have them show you what's going on. Because it's funny, most customers are okay with that. But if you take it the other way and you say, okay, I wrote it all down, let me take it in. Now they're expecting you to fix it. Now you're going to upset them because you did not fix what they came in for, because you never heard it to begin with. So you're not being transparent. You think you're being helpful, but you're actually the other way, and you're not being helpful.
Yeah. Well, that rubs people too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because they've taken days off work to try and get this thing corrected.
And actually, more than most will be very happy if you spend the time to work with them side by side. There was something we were watching the other day. Oh, it was in a sales meeting. And you'll appreciate this from your sales training background. Actually, it's funny, is I think you said this to me at one time. The knee to knee. So get around the desk and sit knee to knee with the customer. Over everything with them. And I hadn't heard it in years. And we have a thing with the sales staff every day. And I stopped it. I made it every week because it's so much. They send out a video to everybody on training. Sometimes you're up, other people's come up. And this one came up, and it was so old school. I was listening to it. I'm going, this is so good. But we're not, you had asked me at a NADA one year, what new technology are you doing and all that. And I'm like, I still believe in the basics.
Yeah. Yeah.
Basics,
A lot of people
basics,
say
no
that.
matter what. You know, one of my mentors, Andy Hansen, told me one time, he goes, master the basics. He
Mm,
goes, I don't care what you do in your career, and he's the one to help me get to that next level for me. But he says, master the basics always and forever. Don't forget that. And he's been 100% right. If you can't master the basics, don't add anything else on. Don't bring a trainer like you in if you
hmm
guys can't even open a door and smile at a customer,
Right.
right?
Yes, this is simple advice. This is great advice, and it's so relevant. We always look for shiny tools and we look for like what's new. And right now, AI, it's not just a buzzword.
Reality.
It's here and it's doing some really great things, but I do still think we're early. And if we're not looking out for new technologies, we will miss the boat in
Yeah.
correcting something that's wrong. A lot of times we just look for things because they're new and so and so has it came up in our 20 group. We need to be on AI, and we just need to go back to the basics. We need to go back to the basics as a key fundamental. Speaking of that, and that was really, really great, simple advice, easy to understand and execute. Relationships for me are the core fundamental of everything. And sometimes we forget about the basics of just building relationships, looking people in the eye, like writing down the notes from their answers to your questions. This is like the basics, right?
Well, it's funny is, I've just started using it as, we have the cell phones that can record everything. If I was a salesperson selling a car today,
Yeah.
I would just turn my mic on as soon as I got together with a customer so I wouldn't forget anything.
Right.
I mean, how
Okay.
hard is that? Instead of sitting there writing the notes on a piece of paper in your hand, just hit record. You got a mic, just listen to it. And now we can go back and make sure you haven't missed anything. What great way to do a CRM. I'd love that we could do that in a service drive where AI would pick that up in a service drive while an advisor is talking to a customer because they're trying to get them through in less than 5 minutes, right? Because
Right.
time's money for customers and we don't want to keep them. But
Mhm.
like we do service drive and greeting and meet and greet in the service drive with a tablet, my advisors go around. But it'd be great just to hit record and it transposed it as you're going along, make it so much easier. But we aren't there yet.
No, we're inching there. We're
Yeah.
starting to, because you're starting to see even things like become much easier for technicians and their stories, to submit to warranty, and it's leveraging AI and those in their story notes and stuff like this. But yeah, I think we're inching towards. Listen, you go into any Zoom meeting, what are we doing? Recording it. It's providing notes. We're there in so many reasons, in so many ways. But yeah, I have to ask you one last thing.
Okay.
Technology. Have you seen anything out there that has been a don't say video because we know that's a game changer. This is great. But have you seen isn't it weird that some dealers still haven't got on board with the video? It's so weird to me.
I don't
But
understand it yet.
not on either. But then you said the MPI, and I'm like, what? How? I know. But okay, so next level, maybe for our more progressive dealers like you, is there something that you've seen that has hit your service departments and it's really impacted reshaping roles? It's really helped you impact adjusting process. It's something that maybe you didn't understand at first, but over time you realize, okay, we can't just plop it down and set it and forget it. We need to work as a team to reshape the process and to get it right so that it performs. Does anything come to mind?
The only thing we've been doing differently, and Ford's backing it, and I dealt with this with Audi also and Volkswagen, is pickup and delivery.
Oh yeah, okay.
Customers love
I
it.
thought you were going to say mobile maintenance, but
Well,
yeah,
I have mobile also,
yeah,
but it's a little hard to do mobile in certain brands, and it is an expense. At the end of the day, it is an expense. But if manufacturers back it, it makes it a little easier and a little easier to swallow. But you've got to look at it as if you're that dealer in the market that's doing it and nobody else is, you got an advantage. I have
agreed.
to be in a dealer in a market of 69 dealers, and as far as the
Dang.
Ford store, and they everybody picks up and delivers. The
Okay.
difference is how consistent you are. Because if somebody quits, you're not doing it, or if somebody changes position, you're not doing it. So consistency
Uh-huh.
is the name of the game. And if
Mhm.
you are that, and we promote it in every writing we have, even the fleet department.
Mhm.
My fleet manager promotes it when they do knock on doors, right? They say, "Hey, we have mobile fleet, and we'll pick up and deliver your vehicle." And it's like that's a game changer, and truly that's going back to basics. It's not technology driven. Granted, there's some things that are technology advanced in it, but
Mhm.
it's full of basics. making the customer feel like they're special. That wow moment, right? Is what am I doing differently than, say, Chevy down the street or Audi across the street? All these things. And what's funny is I had to relearn it when I was with my last Audi store. We didn't do pickup and delivery at first, and I was thinking, because I was going, who can I? Because I was a small store, and I'm like, how can I do this? And then I figured out how to do it a little bit differently. So Uber made it hugely effective.
Yes.
I was thinking, okay, I had to drop a loaner off, or I had to get a show, which I didn't have a show. But then I realized, going, wait a second. Most customers, everybody screams, "Oh, I need to have loaners." No, they don't. I've proven it to every service director who ever worked for me. I said, if you're able to have Lyft or Uber in your town, sometimes you can't because it's not feasible because they're too small and they don't have any. But if you do, it makes it so much easier to go get a person's car and bring it back to them. You don't have to have a loaner to go to them, because the truth of the matter is once you start explaining to customers how much responsibility they do take into having a loaner, when you start charging them for their deductible up front and then giving it back to them, it's amazing how many people don't want cars.
I love it.
They get around, the average person has 1.5 cars, so they have an extra car typically, right? They can get there, or with Uber, they can get to work and you give them a coupon for it or a token.
Yeah.
So we don't need to use it for pickup and delivery. I just put somebody in Uber and send them to go pick it up. Saves half the money, half the time.
Yeah. This is great advice, and I do think it's super relevant because I hate the word loaner. I've been so PTSD'd by the word loaner that I don't even bring it up into any class, any conversation, because it's such a touchy thing.
We created this problem. Well, Lexus created this problem back in the 90s, and then everybody tried to ramp up to get there. And it's created this give me attitude instead of a take care of me attitude.
I couldn't agree with you more. People internally have created this monster with customers. I have dealerships, especially like in Long Island and New York. You don't even get a loaner unless you bought your car from them. It's, and there's just so many mindsets around loaners that, customers can't expect it. And we've got to break a cycle, because I agree, it's probably more of a liability than it is a benefit for all parties.
We had 70 when I took over the Ford store, and we're down to 21. And I service 100 a day.
Wow.
The difference is going back to transparency, explaining them you are responsible.
That's the ticket.
You rent this car, you own it, basically, right? I need your deductible up front. If nothing happens, we'll put it right back on. And having a form filled out saying, here's your responsibilities. When we introduce that, it's amazing. People are like, you mean
I'm good. I don't need that.
Yeah, I don't need one. Can you get me a ride home? My service director, my sales managers, all my GSMs, when I implemented it, they all screamed.
Yeah.
My CSI is going to drop. My CSI is going to drop. You want to hear something funny? Ours went up.
That's interesting. That's very interesting. And why do you think that happened?
Because we were open and communicating about what was going on, and nobody
along probably with everything else, because it's a culture.
It's a culture and how we do things. And that, I just think it doesn't hurt you.
Culture and process.
You still have customers that are like, by far, they're going to take it. They want it. They demand it. That's fine.
Yeah.
But don't schedule accordingly. Don't yell at me. And we tell them, if we don't have a loan, I'm glad to get you in. You're choosing to wait. I can get you in today, but I only have 21 of them. I can get you one in on Thursday. Well, I'll wait Thursday. Or it's funny, they'll call us the next day. Can you still get me in?
Right.
Better yet, I'll even pick it up and deliver it. How you like that one?
That's beautiful. It's great. That's changing an old mentality, and we have to retrain customers. And that's the first step right there, and we're acknowledging when they call back, let's make sure we move this thing forward. Yeah. And listen, we a lot of times people they get scared of the customer when we change a process. They don't want to tell them. They're afraid, it's going to be the end of the world, but you're proving it that, it just takes a little time. It's a culture. It's a process. Great insights today, Mitch. Is there anything that's sitting there on the top of your mind that could really just close this baby out for us? Come on, give me something special.
I don't know. All I would say is for general managers, spend the time to truly learn fixed ops. There's only
Great advice.
4 things you really need to understand. And any DA does a decent job when you go through, but it's so much, so fast thrown at you. And it's funny, I have friends today that go through the NAD school and they'll call me for the fixed ops class. They go, I don't understand this. And I'll have to sit down with them, go through it because it's so much. It's not that much.
Okay, give me the 4 things.
There's only really 4 things that you can deal with. And, you have control over. You really do. And going through that, and I tell my friends that are GMs that are learning fix, a buddy of mine is really good at it now. But I told them, I said, spend the time to just get involved, look at repair orders every day, understand how it affects it, and ask your service manager. This is the funny part. And I tested this when I was with Price Sims before they split, and I was a VP of fix for them. I put out a thing to all my service managers and all my parts managers. And I said, and I had 21 of them, 22 of them. I said, guys, here's the measurements. I want you to tell me how to get them and give me the answers. All I wanted was what's proficiency, what's productivity, what's efficiency, and what is fill rate from parts. You'll be shocked when you ask them. Don't let them touch a phone. Have them write down the equation and give you the answer for their store. How many don't know? And if they don't know, shame on the general managers because they're not. The problem is, this is the biggest problem in our industry. Sales managers go to school, GSMs go to school, GMs go to NADA. You know who teaches the service managers? Nobody. It's all by boots.
Figure it out.
Figure it out. On the job training. And unfortunately, with the big groups now, they'll do some of that, but they only teach them a certain amount because everybody above them is afraid that they'll learn more than they do, so they won't teach them any further. Teach them everything.
Oh, yeah.
Teach them how to read a P&L. How many service managers you go through don't even have access to the P&L?
I agree. Now that I'm going through financial management myself, I can see the value in this.
Spend the time, work as hard to teach them as much as you have learned as a GM. Let them teach you. Ask them to teach you.
Yeah.
But don't be intimidating to them, because I can tell you from being a service manager and training some of my GMs over the years, if you get to the point you're asking them questions, they think you're replacing them. Make them feel comfortable that you're not. You want to learn as much as they do to help them, not to replace them.
Great. Wow. Look at you. Always coming through. I always enjoy learning from you. You're just, because you're so real and it's so casual, and it doesn't need to be like overthinking. It doesn't need to be over processed. It's just raw, real, and easy to digest when it comes to you, because you've lived, I have to believe it. It's because you've lived every side of this business, and you're so passionate, and you're so invested in what you do, and it shows because it's easy to execute. Yeah.
It's who I am. There was a time in life I had to come to a realization, this is who I am, not just what I do.
This is who I am, not just what I do. I feel the same way, but that's,
I know you're like that.
It becomes easier to teach because you actually love it. It's a part of you. It's, yeah, right. That's it. Well, thank you. Thank you a million times for sharing your insights today. Culture, process. You've helped us all just think a little bit bigger about the opportunities that are literally right here. This isn't anything new. It's all right here in our service departments. And it's the area that is exploding. It is the most important department. That's in my opinion, and the whole operation. And sometimes does get overlooked by some of the most important leaders.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
Good.
Thanks.
Thank you, my dear. Appreciate it. Good seeing you again.
Same. Thanks, everyone, for listening to Dealer Talk with Jen Suzuki. Don't forget, my weekly live classes are designed to keep your team fired up, skilled up, and focused on results. Subscribe right now at edealersolutions.com. See ya!